Man, I'm thankful for a game like this right before we go on the road. I think everything's been so easy that the guys get a little complacent. And tonight we got into a good game. Give them credit for going to a zone, but we work on zone every day. Got a little stagnant on the offensive end, and then defensively didn't pay attention to shooters. And we usually do better against teams with one dominant guard that handles the ball. But tonight we didn't. But I'm glad this game came about before we went to New York to see what we were made of.
Questions? Terry, you can go first.
Rick said one of his plans was to take away money from you by putting in the zone and putting one-on-one on him. Did that open it up for Jalen to do what he needs to do inside? And talk about his reputation. There was a lot of shots he didn't block, but he altered to bring the synergy down the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only person that can take your money out of the game is Imani. I think he kind of got into his head being in zone. We didn't do a good enough job of moving the ball or moving him to get him open looks because he's one of the greatest, best shooters in the country. We got him, Landers, Lester, and Tyler that are all really drop-dead shooters. If that's what they were trying to do, we had opportunities. Us not moving the ball properly like we were taught is really one of the reasons why he really didn't get off in the zone. He had to take some bad shots, which fell right into their hands. But Jalen made up for everything that happened tonight. He got a lot of opportunities to get second shots and played a phenomenal game. He just had that no-lose attitude all night.
Just to follow up on that, Penny, with Jalen, having a guy like that who can, kind of through just brute force a lot of times, get you out of a slump almost just because he can rebound. I mean, how valuable was that? How much do you think that steadied the ship there as things were a little frantic at the beginning of the game? Yeah, no, we actually started off pretty good, and then we subbed again, and then the subs, they went on a run, and then when I subbed back in, the guys were kind of laxed, and they stayed in the game. I think with Jalen, his energy tonight definitely made up, like I said, for those mistakes that we made shooting the ball in the first half. We shot the ball horrible, took bad shots, and then also threw the ball away so they can get fast break points. So, I mean, I'm looking at the game and seeing a lot of opportunities. Obviously, the kids aren't going to see it that way until they watch film. But thank God for Jalen Duren tonight because he kept us in the game and won it for us.
Penny, there's a lot of confidence and optimism in your comments, your opening comments tonight about liking the fact that you had a game like this ahead of New York. Is there something that happened in a huddle or in the locker room that made you feel like the team is going to respond well to being challenged, or is it just a hunch? Or
No, basically, man, I think we're a little embarrassed because we've seen 2-3 zone. We practiced 2-3 zone, man. There's so many opportunities that we missed. So it's more like they did a great job of switching it up. But it's more the way we looked at it like, man, we missed so many opportunities. They had the 7'5" kid in the middle. So I guess it just made them feel like this is totally different because they had the 7'5" kid in the middle. They did a great job of just having him right there. But the optimism is, we'll learn from this. Once we watch film and show them where everything was, then, anybody else that tries to play a zone, first of all, it's not going to have a 7'5" guy in the middle. And then secondly, we'll have our reads.
You shortened the rotation in the second half, went to 9 guys, I think playing 11 in the first. I guess what type of impact do you think that kind of had on y'all finally kind of being able to kind of control the game?
Yeah, it just gave a certain group a steady diet. It gave guys that I thought they could handle the situation. Earl played great tonight. Didn't get him back out there because I just went with what I knew for the opportunities. We just get a little too loose with the ball. But it helped us just shortening the rotation because we had to win the game. There was no more experimenting. Guys were a little nervous. That zone was bothering them. And I went with the guys that I thought would be able to handle it better.
Hey, Penn, I think this is the first game that, referees really called it tight and in a close game. And I think your guys how do you think they handled that in that officiating in a tight game? Because some of the game calls could have went either way, and I think some of them might have got emotional at the time or two.
Yeah, we're an emotional team, and we pay too much attention to the referees. They're going to make their calls. There's no way we can change it. Have to move on to the next one. I mean, these kids haven't just started playing college basketball, like obviously the freshmen, but if you play high school basketball and college basketball, referees are going to make good calls on certain nights, bad calls on certain nights, so you have to adjust. I've never been the one to worry about what a ref is doing. I always worry about what we're doing, but it did bother our guys for sure because they take themselves out of the game because the ref is going to stay steady on what he's doing. They just have to get on to the next play mentality.
Was there any did you notice any frustration from Amani tonight? It was like his first off night. What did you see that was keeping him from being successful, and did you notice any frustration or anything out of him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a winner. He wants to win, and then he gets hard on himself because he missed some shots that he usually makes, and he's been working so hard on that, and when he fails, and he's always going to try to do the right thing. When he fails at something like he did tonight as far as shooting, he didn't fail. That's a bad word. He wasn't making his normal shots. Then that was the first sign of adversity, you know what I mean? And that's good. It's okay, you know what I mean? We get the win out of it. He'll be better next game, and he'll be more locked in, and he can take those same shots and make every last one of those shots the next game. So for me, yeah, he's 17 years old. He's emotional because he wants to do well, and he just ultimately wants to win. When you have a game like this, I just saw him put his head down more this game than he did any other game because basically we just they did a great job, tip your hat, but it was some self-inflicting things that we just didn't do. We were asked to do. And yesterday's practice, today's shoot around, and we just didn't do it.
Was it just the shooting that kind of sent him in the wrong direction tonight, or was it some turnovers that he committed?
It could have been a combination of both things, but I really didn't ask him. I just know that he's a winner, he's a warrior, and he's allowed to have a bad game. This was his bad game. He'll be ready for the next game.
We'll go Mark and then Steven, and that might be all.
Penny, you mentioned this will be good for you guys to have gone through something like this. How, this is obviously a big week coming up in Brooklyn. We're potentially could have two big opportunities. How good do you feel about that? Like when you survey these first 4 games, obviously you probably don't feel great after tonight, but just if you survey it and how prepared you are to go up against a jump up in competition. How do you feel about this group?
Yeah, for me, I'm anxious because we're more than prepared to go do it. Now the guys just have to put their minds together to do it together, not as individuals. I think we became individuals in a lot of cases tonight, and we know we can't do it alone. So for me, I'm very optimistic and ready to go to face Virginia Tech, who's going to be another really good test with shooters and guys that are going to get the ball, and they're going to try to run their stuff. They got one primary ball handler that they have on the floor. They're very well coached, and they're going to see tonight's game and come out with pretty much the same game plan, I'm sure.
Penny, after the last game, you said Earl and DeAndre were 2 guys you were kind of waiting on to break out. So in terms of figuring out who you can trust down the stretch, in terms of how they played tonight, did they kind of live up to what that challenge you kind of offered to them after the last game?
Yeah, Earl definitely was like a breakout game, and I didn't go back with him. At the end, I went with Alo, and that's on me. He played a pretty good game. Honestly, that was his best game of the 4 that he's had. And DeAndre shot the ball well from the floor, but there's so much more opportunities for him to do so much more. Block shots, taking charges, offensive rebounding. And I hold him to a high standard because I feel like he's a guy that can do that. He could be on the same level as Jalen with that same dominance. So, yeah, those 2 guys kind of lived up, especially Earl. Dre, I got to have more. I got to have more from him because I know he's more capable.